Shalom and welcome to the weekend edition of the Daily Dose of Hebrew. Today we're looking at Jeremiah chapter 8, verse 9. We looked last time at verse 8 where we saw that the people were claiming to be wise because they had the law of the Lord with them. But that law was actually being distorted by the lying pen of the scribes. And the same thought is going to continue a little bit in verse 9. Not too difficult a verse. Let's go ahead and read it in Hebrew as we get started. Hovishu hachemim hatu v'yilakedu hine vidvar Adonai ma'asu v'chokmat me lehem. So this is our one tricky word. What do we have here? Well, we have a sufformative right here. So this is going to be a perfect. And it's going to be a perfect, a 3 MP, third masculine plural. And with the hey at the, as a prefix here, and the hirikyo in the middle, this is going to be hifil. And it's going to be from our verb bosh. Let's get over here. Bosh. There we go. It should be a holem, which means to be ashamed. And hifil means maybe the nuance to cause to be ashamed. This O vowel here, this holem, is a little bit unusual. It could actually be written as a full holem vav here. And this is an example of what the grammarians call metaplastis. This is a metaplastic form. That's T-I-C, because it's actually a form that's being taken from a different verb, but a similar verb, and it's using this form in some forms of the hifil. This is not the typical hifil form, but it's an unusual form. So it's metaplastic form, and it's a little bit complicated. But if you want to look it up, you can look it up in Gesenius' grammar, Gesenius, and I think, let me look here, it's in paragraph number 78b, as in boy, 78b, or if you're looking at Juon's grammar, you will find that in grammar in paragraph 80Q, where you will find a little explanation of what they mean by metaplastic forms. So this was a little bit of a challenge even for me to understand why this took this O vowel like this. Even though it is a hifil, you're seeing an O vowel with a hey prefix, you're thinking maybe a hofal, but the I class vowel would not be there. So this is just an unusual form for the hifil, and to be ashamed. So this means they were ashamed if we take it as a perfect. Now we're going to see there's different ways of translating this perfect here. They were ashamed. Who's ashamed? Wise ones. So we might say the wise, or wise men were ashamed. Let's translate it perhaps as a present right now. Wise men are ashamed. They are dismayed. So what do we have here? This is another perfect. And this one also is a third common plural. This should be actually a common plural over here with the perfect. And this is a cow, and this is from the verb hatat. So with a hate and then two taus, like that. So it's a geminate verb, which explains why you see the dagesh right there. And that means to be dismayed. So they are ashamed, they are dismayed, and they are, well, what is this here? This is a vav going to be attached to an imperfect. You can see the yod and an u. So this is going to be an imperfect consecutive. So it's keeping the same time reference as the other two. Imperfect consecutive. But this is going to be a nifal. I don't know if you saw the signs there. You have this comets underneath the first consonant of the radical. You have the dagesh of the nifal over here in the lamed, and then you have a short I class vowel hirik underneath. So typical signs of a nifal imperfect. And from the verb lakad, and lakad means to take or to capture, and so in the nifal be to be taken, to be captured. So the wise are ashamed, they are dismayed, they are captured, or they have been captured. We'll come back to that. Behold, hine, vav with davar and Yahweh. So this looks like in the word, because it's in construct with Yahweh, which is a definite noun. In the word of the Lord, ma'asu. So this is a perfect, third common plural. This is a cow from our verb ma'as, which means to reject. Now, reject sometimes can take a direct object straight out, to reject something, but it can also take its direct object marker with bait. So this isn't really in, This is sort of an adversative. It's rejecting what? So this is the direct object marker. We would put that in quotes for this verb in many cases, and this is one of those cases. So the word of the Lord they have rejected. And Hokmah, this is a kommensatuf here, so be careful because it's in a closed, unaccented syllable with the makef, the accents down here on me at the end. So you have hokmat construct here. So this is wisdom of, and me means what. So wisdom of what, and we would supply the verb is to them with our suffix. This is going to be a third masculine plural suffix. So wisdom of what is to them? They've rejected the word of the Lord. Wisdom of what? In other words, what wisdom is to them? What wisdom do they have left when they've rejected God's wisdom? So the claims of the wise do not go very far because they've rejected the true source of wisdom there. Well, let's go ahead and hide our work, and we'll look at a couple of translations here. First of all, with the New American Standard, which we can expect to be very literal, and it is. The wise men are put to shame. Now you see they're translating this as this is a perfect, but they're translating it as a present. Because this is obviously referring to something which is the case right now and is probably going to be the case in the future. Some commentators call this a prophetic perfect. It is it's being used as though this is the way it is. This is already a fixed thing. They are put to shame. So translating this as a present is perfectly proper. They are dismayed and caught. They are taken. They are caught, trapped. Behold, they have rejected the word of the Lord, and what kind of wisdom do they have? Wisdom of what is to them? So good translation there. NIV, the wise will be put to shame. So even though this is a perfect there and a perfect here and an imperfect consecutive here, they put all of these into the future, which is coming because this is a judgment that's coming. But recognize that it's actually a perfect in the Hebrew text, so it's pretty definite. The wise will be put to shame. They will be dismayed and trapped. Since, so they're making this a little more causal here, behold, since they have rejected the word of the Lord, what kind of wisdom, consequence then, what kind of wisdom do they have? Same as in the American Standard. And one more, very much more of a paraphrase with the contemporary English version. Now they've kind of taken this whole verse apart and put it back in different pieces. But they still have the basic idea, if you want to take it as a paraphrase. So, your wise men, so they're picking that up from here, have rejected what I say. So they've rejected the word of the Lord, and they've made that into a personal what I say. So they have no wisdom. What kind of wisdom is to them? So they have no wisdom. So that's down over here. Now they will be trapped. So then that picks up over here. And put to shame. That picks up over here. And they won't know what to do. That picks up this verb here, to be dismayed. So again, they took the whole thing apart, reassembled it, but they still have the basic idea. So more of a paraphrase than a translation. They've rejected what I say. They have no wisdom. Now they will be trapped, put to shame. They won't know what to do. That gets across what happens when people reject God's word, even while they're claiming they're holding on to it, but they're rejecting the true meaning and understanding of it. There isn't any other wisdom will go to, that people have to go to. They will end up in foolishness, and we see that here. We'll check back with us soon as we continue working through Jeremiah 8 and the weekend edition of the Daily Dose of Hebrew. Shalom.